even more, they would get even more benefits from the Quran. However, what we want to do is get the bare minimum that we possibly can from each surah. And in that way, we can reaffirm some kind of attachment with the Quran, that we can still benefit. And that way, bi'idhnillah, this will be a fruitful Ramadan. And the reason why I say that this will be a fruitful Ramadan is because the ulama have said, how do you know that your actions have been accepted? It's written in the sky, above the seven heavens, with Allah. How do you know on earth that your actions have been accepted with Him Jalla wa Ala? There is one way that we know on earth, past the universe, past the different skies, past the different jannat, past the inhabitants of the Jannah and the angels, etc. Past all of that, we know that there is one way that you can know for certain that your siyam, that your dua, that your adhkar, that your recitation of the Quran, that all of your acts of goodness have been accepted with Allah, which is that if Allah enables you to do good in the first place, and that good is increased and not decreased, that good becomes permanent, and you build upon that goodness, then know that that is a good sign from Allah that He has given you hidayah, and that your acts of worship have been accepted with Him. My brothers and sisters, this is why I think the Quran is very important for us, because the Quran guides us to a way which is upright. Inna hadha al-Quran yahdi lillati hiya aqwam. It guides you to a way which is upright. It guides you to a way which is better for you, because we ourselves, sometimes we feel that we can, but on the large part we must admit to ourselves as mankind, as humans, that we are not able to formulate for ourselves what we think is good and what we think is bad. We are constantly changing our conception of what is good and bad, and we're trialing and erroring, and by that time the damage has been done. The Quran describes to us that your Lord is the one who has created you, and He has sent down to you an instruction, and if you follow that instruction, you will be guided. Not only will you be guided, you will have tranquility. Not only will you have tranquility, but you will be blessed in the dunya and in the akhirah. One of the ulama gave a very, very good parable and example of this. The sun. It comes up every single morning and it sets every single evening. It does what it is being told. It recognizes that it has a creator and it is obedient to that creator. If the sun was to say, well, today I'm not going to come up at all, or I'm going to come up a minute late, or I'm going to come up 2 minutes late, what would happen to the universe? What would happen to the sun? What would happen to everything in creation? It would implode. It would be destroyed, and everything around it. You have been given much more nobility than the sun. You have been given the best of mankind. You have been given the best of creation, and you have been given a word in this dunya which is uncreated. Every single thing that you see around you is created, except the Quran. The Quran existed with Allah in eternity, and it will continue to exist forever, and it will never be destroyed, and it will never be something which is created. The ulama of Islam have also said, my brothers and sisters, that studying something shows you the importance of the thing that is being studied. Let me repeat that. Studying something shows you the importance of the thing that it is being studied. So now, if the Quran is important to me and you, if Allah, the one who spoke the Quran, Jalla wa Ala, is important to me and you, then we should be studying it. If he is not important, if he is semi-important, then your relationship with the Quran will determine that. How can a group of people believe in Allah but not be bothered about understanding what His speech is saying to them? His speech is much more profound and much more important and much more sincere and much more beneficial than any kind of speech that they can gain, even if it was from their own parents. Allah says in the Quran, الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابِ. Those people who have been given the book, يَتْلُونَهُ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ. They recite the Quran, understand the Quran, they implement the Quran to the best of their ability as much as it is due upon them. أُولَٰئِكَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ. Those are those who actually believe in the Quran. Now you have to place yourself, my brother and sister, in the depths of this ayah, in the middle of this ayah. Allah Jalla wa Ala is saying that those people who are bothered and have a connection and have a consciousness and have an urgency and have a need and have a want to understand the Quran, because they know that their Lord is Allah is their Lord and their Creator, and He has given them a word, and that word is going to be good for them. Those are those people who believe in it. وَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ بِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْخَاسِرُونَ. If you turn away from this Quran, even if it is for a small percentage of your life, then there is a sense of loss. The problem is, though, that many people say, well, I actually do believe in the Quran, and of course it's the word of Allah, but when I read the Quran, I don't really benefit from it. It's just a foreign language, and a lot of it's just repeating, and I think, well, I've understood this before, and I've even read the translation, and وَإِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, may Allah protect us. Some people, whether they admit it or not, may say, well, it's actually boring. I've read it once, I don't need to read it again, I know what it says. Some people will even think to themselves that it doesn't make sense. The problem is not with the book itself. The problem is not with the one who created everything that we see and that we don't see. The problem is not with the one who issued the statements in this book. The problem is with the people who are trying to either avoid it or not give it the level of urgency that it deserves. And as we will see in the very first surah, Surah Al-Fatiha, we will see what servitude actually means and what it actually means for you to be connected to Allah. And one of those things is that the servant must realize that he has a problem, that he has a weakness, that he himself is not self-sufficient. He himself is absolutely meaningless, and he needs Allah's help in every single walk of life, and the most important of which is to gain the guidance that Allah has placed on this earth in order for him to have an enriched dunya and a beneficial akhirah. Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ إِلَّا بِلِسَانِ قَوْمِهِ لِيُبَيِّنَ لَهُمْ. There is no messenger, including our messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, except that he is sent to his nation. We are from his nation, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, except that Allah has said that he has come to us with a message that we will understand, so that we will have the clarification of the speech of Allah. So how can it be boring? Where is the boredom? Where is the detachment? Where is the sense that people don't feel that it is something important in their life? Allah says that in the next ayah, or the next part of the ayah. فَيُدِلُّ اللَّهُ مَن يَشَاءُ وَيَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. Allah will guide whoever He wants, and He will leave astray to go whoever He wants, and Allah is Al-Aziz and He is Al-Hakim. This book has been given to us, but we need to show the urgency ourselves. Let me ask you a question, brothers and sisters. Allah says in the Quran, هَلْ جَزَاءُ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَّا الْإِحْسَانِ. This is an ayah that we recite every single day, Surah Rahman. Some of our very favorite ayat, favorite surah that people cherish the most, Surah Rahman. We recite it, هَلْ جَزَاءُ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَّا الْإِحْسَانِ. Allah is saying in this ayah, is there any reward for goodness except goodness? Is there any reward for goodness except goodness? Let me ask you a question, brothers and sisters. Who is the one that is initiating the goodness? Is it Allah or is it you? Allah is saying here, is there any exchange or reward or recompense for goodness? Who is initiating that goodness? Except goodness. Who is going to give that goodness? The ulama of tafsir have said that the person himself has to initiate that goodness to attain the goodness from Allah. That person has to initiate the goodness himself in order for him to attain the goodness from Allah. And it's likewise in this ayah here, where Allah Jalla wa Ala said that He has sent down to you a book. He's given you a messenger, the best of mankind. He's given you the best of speech, which is a speech which is not going to be abrogated. He's given you a law, and He's given you an upright way. How can you gain that goodness for yourself? Allah is saying in the rest of this ayah that Allah will take away those people who don't want to have that goodness for themselves and not showing them within themselves that goodness, and they're not showing that spur of goodness of wanting hidayah for themselves. And Allah is Al-Aziz Al-Hakim. Allah is Al-Aziz Al-Hakim. Why does this ayah ends with Aziz and Hakim? Allah is Aziz because He's ever powerful, and He's Al-Hakim, and He is ever knowledgeable and ever wise. If you have any attribute within a person or a thing which has strength and no wisdom, then that strength will be used in a corruptive and an oppressive and a destructive way. If you have wisdom but you don't have strength, then that wisdom is useless, because you cannot have the strength to proclaim that wisdom. Allah is Al-Aziz and He is Hakim. He is ever powerful and He is ever wise. His power is proportionate. His power is measured according to His wisdom. Jalla wa ala. The Quran, my brothers and sisters, creates uprightness for you, and it is the best form of provision that you need on your journey to the Akhirah. Allah says in the Quran, فَذَكِّرْ بِالْقُرْآنِ, then warn and advise and remind the people by the Quran, مَن يَخَافُ وَعِيدٍ, those people who fear a bad end. How will you benefit from the Quran if there is no sense of goodness within yourself? There's a lot of onus on ourselves, my brothers and sisters, when we want to benefit from the Quran, and we want to benefit from Islam, and we want to benefit from our worship, but we are not seeing any practical changes in our lives, in our attitudes, in the way we think about other people, the way we speak, the way we talk, the way we behave, the way we walk down the street, the way we look. If a person is praying 5 times a day, alhamdulillah, if he's got a beard, he's wearing a thobe, and she's wearing a hijab, and she's covering her face, but those aspects are not changing their lives, then there is a problem. There is a problem with the substance that Allah Jalla wa Ala is explaining to us in these ayat. The Quran, if you understand it correctly, my brothers and sisters, will be your guide. It will intercede for you. And the ulama have said on this hadith that I'm just about to quote, you don't have to be an hafiz. You don't have to be a hafiz of the Quran. You don't have to memorize the Quran. The Prophet ﷺ said, اقرأوا القرآن, recite the Quran. فإنه يأتي يوم القيامة شفيعا لأصحابه, that it will come for that person who recites the Quran, has a connection with the Quran, who wants to learn the Quran and implement it, then it will intercede. Imagine the Quran itself will say to Allah, oh Allah, don't punish this servant of mine because he had restless nights. He spent days at length trying to understand your words. Oh Allah, don't punish this person. There's another hadith, my brothers and sisters, the Prophet ﷺ, on the day of judgment, he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, يُقَالْ لِصَاحِبِ الْقُرْآنِ, it will be said to the person who has an attachment with the Quran, reciting, understanding, the wording, the actions, the behavior, اقرأ وَارْتَقِي وَارْتِلْ, recite, continue reciting, and ascend, because the last position for you, the highest position for you in Jannah, will be the last ayah that you used to recite and implement. Allahu Akbar. You recite the ayat in the Quran, you understand them, you implement them, you want to be connected to Allah by them. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, it will come as a friend to you, will come as an interceder for you, will come on a day when people will be drowning in their sweat. It will come on a day when people will want to be with the Anbiya and the Rusul. But how can you be with them when they have left behind a legacy and you have rejected that legacy by not understanding the words and the speech of Allah and not implementing it in your words? If you were to do that, it would be said to you specifically by your name, like you used to do in the dunya, we want you to do the same thing today. Recite the Quran. Recite the Quran, and through every single ayah, elevate yourself into the highest position in Jannah by the last ayah that you recite. The Quran is something which is absolutely amazing, my brothers and sisters, and it was revealed in this amazing month, and it was revealed to the most best of all creation, with the best of angels in the best of cities. This Quran is not a book of coincidence. This Quran is not a book where it has been infiltrated. It's not a book of stories. It's not a book of science. It's not a book of mathematics. It's a book of guidance. And this is why, beginning our tafsir after this introduction, this is why, because it is a guidance, the very first thing that we need to do when we recite the Quran, as everybody is aware, all the madahib are completely agreed upon. Allah says in the Quran, فَإِذَا قَرَأْتُ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ, if you want to recite the Quran, seek refuge in Allah. But what does that mean? What does it mean when we say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim? Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from the accursed and the rejected shaitan. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said, when you seek refuge in something, it means that you are scared of that thing that you are seeking refuge in. If you see a lion coming towards you, you seek refuge from that lion and you go to a safe place. That is understood. You go to the police station if you are being hassled. That is understood. But when you seek, this is what Ibn al-Qayyim say, rahimahullah, when you seek refuge in Allah, Allah will take you away from the thing that you fear, and He will place you in a position that you were better off from the time that you asked for protection from Him from the very beginning. When you say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, you are saying to Allah, Allah, protect me from the evil of myself. Allah, protect me from being led astray. Allah, protect me from this shaitan, because he wants to take me with him to the hellfire. Oh Allah, protect me from this. Oh Allah, protect us all from this and the Muslimin. But what you do when you are saying that to Allah, it means that, oh Allah, protect me from it. But before I asked you for protection, make me better than that state that I was in before. Make me better than the state that I was in before I asked for your protection, Ya Rabb. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said, when you say A'udhu billah, it means, oh Allah, protect me and elevate me. Oh Allah, protect me and guide me. Oh Allah, protect me and give me a ranking which was better than the ranking that I had from before I sought refuge in you. A'udhu billah. What is Allah? Who is Allah? What does Allah mean? Now, I've asked this question before and you get different answers. Allah, does it mean He is the creator? Allah, does it mean that He is the thing that we are subdued to? Allah, what does it mean? Allah. The ulama have explained to us that Allah comes from Al-Ilah. And Al-Ilah is something ya'lu ilayh. Al-Ilah is the deity of worship. Ya'lu ilayh, it means that we worship this deity alone with love and awe. Allah is called Allah because He alone is our object of worship, and He alone we have a level of love and awe which is uncomparable to anything else. That is the name of your Lord. That is the meaning of the name of your Lord, Allah Jalla wa Ala. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Shaitan is called shaitan because he is rejected. He is far away. He is shaitan from any kind of goodness. He is devoid from any kind of mercy. Shaitan is the most evil thing that Allah has created, and He has vowed that He will not stop being an entity in this dunya until He has taken every single one of us, man and jinn, your progeny that you have met and that you have not met, your grandfathers and your ancestors that you have met and you have not met. He wants to take every single one of them into the hellfire. As Allah says, He will be successful. But the Quran is come to stop that for us, to protect you and your family, and to give you uprightness. Very quickly before we end today's session, we've looked at the importance of tafsir. We've looked at the meaning of A'udhu Billah minash shaitanir rajim. The last thing we have now is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. What does that mean? The ulama have said, and this is something I'm sure that everybody has read a translation for, in the name of Allah, the entirely merciful and the especially merciful, as is translated in the version that I have here. The gracious and the most merciful. I mean, there are different interpretations in the way that people have translated it. But He is Ar-Rahman and He is Ar-Rahim, and in His name we begin. The ulama have said, whenever you say Bismillah, it means you are seeking Allah's assistance. Bismillah Aqra. Bismillah, I'm about to read. Bismillah, I'm about to eat. Bismillah, I'm about to go to the toilet. Bismillah, I need your assistance in every single thing, Ya Rabb. Everything that your name is pronounced over, your assistance will be guaranteed in it. There's another explanation given by the ulama of tafsir that whenever you say Bismillah, it means that thing that you pronounce the name of Allah over will become blessed. Your food will become blessed, your children will become blessed, your body will become blessed. And one of the biggest things that you can gain from both of these, the assistance from Allah and the blessing from Allah, is that this will repel you from shaitan. Therefore, there is no coincidence between A'udhu Billahi minash shaitanir rajim Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Before we end, the ulama have also said that this word or this sentence, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, has three parts. It has hamd of Allah, and it has the name of Allah, and it has Ar-Rahman Rahim. It has a praise of Allah Himself, and it has His name, Ar-Rahman Rahim. And there is no ayah in the Quran where Allah Ar-Rahman Rahim has been mentioned in one line. That's why Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is so powerful. That's why Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is so unique. It gives you assistance and it gives you blessings and it protects you from the shaitan. I ask Allah to make this beneficial for us all, and that He puts barakah in our series, and that He gives us an attachment to the Quran, and He frees us from the hellfire. Oh Allah, free us from the hellfire. Allah, free us and our parents and all our loved ones from the hellfire. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.